Before I start this video, I want to give a pro tip that I literally just a few seconds ago learned on making YouTube videos. Now, for the longest time, I've struggled with lighting. It's been very hard. Usually, I'm pretty good at lighting, but there's some videos where I'm backlit or the lighting's just not very good. If you see in the back right here, this lamp looks like something's on fire in my room. I'm fine. Now, I just discovered something, and this only works if you, if you record your videos in front of, like, a screen. I, for one, am doing, I used to film videos here when I had a keyboard in front of me, but then I got a TV in my room, and so I've been filming these on, like, the stand that the TV's in front of. It sounds a lot more dangerous than it actually is, but I just started to do this where you just go onto YouTube on your TV and pull up, like, a video where it's just a white screen. I'm on one that's, like, 24 hours long. I can't imagine this video lasting longer than that. And it's perfect. Now, this does really only work if you make your videos, like, right in front of a TV, but I bet you could improvise some other way. I'm doing this right now, and the video looks pretty fantastic. Anyways, getting on with it. Wow, that was a long intro, wasn't it? We are looking at Chapera, finally, the last tribe in Survivor All-Stars. It's the best tribe this season, both statistically and just in general. This tribe does have the winner and the runner-up and a bunch of great players in between, so let's get to it. Now, I couldn't do it justice without, at the very least, touching on the big thing that happened this season. And at first, she seemed to be in somewhat of a good position. I mean, she's probably, like, second to go on the pecking order of that tribe, but considering how good this tribe was compared to others, that didn't necessarily say anything about how well she would do. She was able to cruise her way to the Saboga dissolution, but it was at that first immunity challenge that things went south, and very quickly. Now, I won't go into detail as it is pretty disturbing, and anyone who's seen this season knows exactly what I'm talking about anyways. That bothered her for long after the challenge had ended. The following 3 days were very difficult for her, and she seemed to sort of zone out from the game. Then at the next immunity challenge, she came forward and addressed what had happened to everyone else, and announced that she was walking away from the game. There comes a point where you're so good at Survivor that if you return to play a second season, you have zero chance of making it very far because of the huge target on your back. This is what happened to Rob Cesternino, especially once Jenna Maraska had quit. He's basically a winner compared to the rest of the cast based off of his original placement and quality of gameplay. Yet of course he fit right into Shapera. He was on with a bunch of other fun-loving players like Boston Rob, Big Tom, and Sue, but his status as a power player, he was the highest placing player on his tribe right behind Sue, and his occasional laziness around camp made him public enemy number 1 when it came to Shapera's first tribal council, which came sooner than they expected on only day 12. And it was pretty much curtains for Rob. He did try to make a deal with Boston Rob, but come on, you know how Boston Rob works. Now, across watching her on the 2 seasons that I have, Alicia is very good at being a likable and useful player in the pre-merge portion of the game, only to be voted out early on in the jury phase for those exact same reasons. She's a beast with physical stuff and appeared to be a key part of Chapera. Rob even made a final 2 deal with her when he was certain Amber was going home after the fake merge / second tribe swap thing. Of course, once the 2 tribes became Chaboga Mogo, she was safe for a few days as they snuffed out the remaining Mogo Mogos. See what I did there? But then something very unfortunate happened at the final 7 immunity challenge. It was that endurance comp we've seen time and time again where you have to hold one arm above your head or else a bucket of water will fall on you. And Sheehan, the last remaining Mogo Mogo, won in an upset against Rupert. This meant that the only people left to vote out were other Chaperas. Well, Alicia was starting to ruffle some feathers at camp and would bicker with other players on occasion. And it didn't help that the other 5 Shapira were working together somewhat, and it seemed very obvious that she was next to go instead of Sheehan. Tom was so close in Africa, and might I also add that he was totally robbed because of a huge mistake made by production that I did talk about in the Africa videos. But once again, he was so close here that it was almost unbearable to see him fall short. I think what sunk his game was that he should have inserted himself more into Rob and Amber's alliances. When they teamed up with Jenna and Rupert, I think Tom would have been making a safe gamble by joining their little group. It would have changed the dynamic of the game once they reached to the final 5, because it would go from the obvious boot being Tom to a scenario where most likely Rob and Amber go out one after the other. And the funny thing is that's kind of what happened. I mean, he did show signs of maybe aligning with Rupert and Jenna, but Rob was just way too good at the game and could tell that this is exactly what was happening. So he did a little move to get to kind of pit Tom and Rupert against each other, got into Rupert's ear and got into both of their ears and make him think that they were going after each other, and that created some mistrust and that's why Tom went. That being said, yeah, really at that point he was in position to be a swing vote, so that did kind of make him a target too. We have seen that before where swing votes go home because they're swing votes. Most people won't be surprised that I don't have the winner as at number 1. Amber was an okay player, but I would not have voted for her to win. She was just so likable, and not necessarily a huge challenge threat. She had one foot out the door when she stayed on Shapira while the Mogul Moguls replaced her tribe mates, but the reason she stayed plays into my number 1 placement. The entire game, while my number 1 placement was arranging the hit, Amber was giving them a kiss on the cheek out the door. While my number 1 placement was burning bridges with the other players, Amber was awkwardly mouthing sorry as their torches were snuffed. And this is great and all, definitely could warrant a win, but should it? Maybe this is just how I feel, but when we're comparing Amber and Boston Rob, I think that Rob's cutthroat gameplay was more impressive than Amber's likability and compatibility with the rest of the cast. All I'm saying is no matter how horrible of a person Rob was, if I was on the jury, my vote would have been going to Boston Rob. Only rivaled by Rob Cesternino for best player to fall short in this era of Survivor, Rob dominated the season from beginning to end. Like in the Marquesas, he assumed the position of the godfather of his tribe, but this time it worked in his favor. Somewhat. He made an adorable bond with Amber that we got to see blossom into a romance still going strong today. 4 kids. And it was a lot like Lex in the sense that whenever he wanted something done, he got it done. Except he actually made it to the end. Did Rob curl up into a ball and cry himself to sleep when Amber was separated from him and would likely be voted out? Well, maybe he did, but Boston Rob is more than that. He got to work and was able to work the other tribe, which is something that I don't think I've ever seen before on Survivor. Was Boston Rob afraid to go back on his word to put himself in a better position of their game? Of course not. Just look at the likes of Lex, Alicia, and Big Tom, just to name a few. He played the hardest out of anyone that made it to the final 2 up to this point, and it was just about to pay off when a 4-3 vote gave the $1 million check to his girlfriend recently turned fiance, which kinda looks bad, but who cares? Hey, this was an extremely salty jury, with Big Tom's speech and his taunting of Boston Rob going down in Survivor history as one of the most stinging jury speeches of all time. Should he have won? Absolutely. That's all I wrote. Actually, I didn't even write that. That last part was totally a riff. Wow, that was a lot, guys. That was a lot. 3 episodes, 3-part series. It's the first time I've ever done this. I've done many 2-parters on this channel, and I've never done a 3-parter like this. So just thank you guys for watching and all the support. And we're gonna wrap up this era of Big Brother now. Or Big Brother. What? No, I did not say that. I meant Survivor. I'm embarrassed. Big Brother's coming up soon, so maybe I've just got that on the brain. But yeah, finishing this era of Survivor. We're wrapping it up. I got 2 more videos, and then we're done with this era of Survivor. I'm doing the 8 seasons ranked and my top 10 players. And then I don't know. I'll do a bunch of stuff. I'll do a bunch of things. I got to do a Masked Singer thing. I told myself I wasn't gonna do like this again, where I'd go on a monologue, but here we are. Yeah, Masked Singer stuff, and then really everything else. I'm just kind of keeping it quiet. Some stuff could be obvious, but you know. I just can't wait to make more videos this summer. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.